What's up, you guys? So I'm here with a new video today, and here to bring you guys the next installment of what you should play at the North American World Championship Qualifier. This might be the last episode. I need to see if I've actually covered everything, but we are here to talk about Demise.dex. I said that this was going to be an episode, and that I was going to talk about why you should play a Demise deck at Nationals. There's multiple reasons why you should. There's multiple reasons why you shouldn't. We can start with the positive, why you should. I guess like the most basic one could be, are you an anti-meta player? Are you someone who, doesn't want to go with the trends that everyone else is setting? Do you not want to play Monarchs? Do you not want to play Pendulums? Do you not want to play Cosmo? Do you not want to play any of those decks? Burning Abyss, PK Fire, etc. And if not, then the best deck for you is to play an anti-meta deck. And let's be honest, Card of Demise, without a doubt, is one of the most powerful and best anti-meta strategy cards that's come out in a really, really long time. The card is just nuts. I mean, everyone says it's pot of greed on crack. It's true. The card is just insane. The fact that you can, deal damage and then draw is crazy too. But when I first picked up my set, I didn't realize that. And then before I even started to play, someone told me that, and I was like, no way. And I reread the card. I was like, oh my god, that's nuts. So yeah, Card of Demise has just brought so much life back into so many decks. And if you combo that with Pot of Duality, Duality Card of Demise is insane just because, I mean, you search your deck, well, you don't really search your deck, but you reveal cards with Pot of Duality, you draw more cards with Card of Demise, and I mean, if you already have Card of Demise and Duality, it's just insane. I also included Upstart because in most decks, this would be the draw engine you would play in pretty much all the Card of Demise decks just because, just makes your deck count a lot less. So yeah, that's that alone is just crazy for that card. Now, other reasons to play the decks are cards like Drowning Mirror Force or Rippling Mirror Force as they call it here. Drowning Mirror Force is insane. Without a doubt, it's the best Mirror Force. The fact that it doesn't target and shuffles all the monsters, back into the opponent's deck is just crazy. I can't tell you, like, just in testing, like when I played Cleefort Demise, like how powerful this card was. You guys know how powerful this card is. If people are side decking it now in a lot of decks because it just really solves a lot of problems. Solving an established board has always been a hard thing that most decks struggle with. And the fact that you can just wipe the board clean is basically like a reset button. So I think this card is really insane. And I've come to notice that like Demise decks really abuse this card the most because you usually don't have monsters on the field. Your monster count is so low that you're basically just running on your back row. And by wiping the board clean, even if you just go with one monster in back row can be enough to win. So I think the card's really, really cool. And then, of course, Rivalry of Warlords. And I include this because most decks that are playing Card of Demise, they're just a single type of monster. Cleafort's the best example. They're just machine. I believe Yosenju can use it too. Yeah, they're all Beast Warriors. And I even include Satella Knights because Satella Knights are all Warrior. So yeah, so it's just pretty crazy that Rivalry has really come into the game. I made a video a while back about how Rivalry is destroying the meta, and it's true. You're able to just flip Rivalry on a Burning Abyss player. They can't make Dante. You're able to flip Rivalry on Monarchs. They have to pick and choose. You're able to flip Rivalry on Cosmo. Of course, they can play around it, but still, it does hinder them at times. So Rivalry has just become a really, really solid card, and it's become like a staple in all Demise decks. So that alone is a reason to play these decks that you can really like run on your floodgates to win the game. So the next question would be is which Demise deck is the best? The main ones that people talk about are Cleefort and Yosenju. It really, really comes down to what you're trying to accomplish. Yosenju are different. They always bounce back to the hand like spirit monsters. They basically poke and beat down. They have pretty cool effects when they're summoned and everything. So your Senjus are a solid pick. Also, if you're playing tanky or whatever it is, they do get a boost. So the monsters do get, they become a little bit formidable. Basically, you're basically clearing the field with your back row, and then you're just kind of beating down with your Senjus. So I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Cleefort are kind of in a class of their own because the monsters themselves are like floodgates. They all have effects that are pretty crazy. Carrier and Helix can win you a game by themselves when they're tributed. Being able to resolve a stealth is pretty much game ending depending on how the scenario plays out. Like if you're bouncing your scout with stealth and then reactivating scout and getting another search and then penduluming, it's usually game. It's pretty crazy. I've done a lot of testing and it wasn't something I noticed before, but when I started playing it again, I realized, oh yeah, I'm just gonna stealth back my scout and just scout again. It was just it's just like game ending. So Cleeforts are just really strong. The monsters, the deck can play skill drain. I think that's huge. That's one of the advantages that Cleaforts have is they can play skill drain. It doesn't hinder them at all. Yosenju can't do that, but Yosenju can play just as many floodgates as Cleaforts can, so it's pretty cool. And then there's Satellarknights. I threw Satellarknight in here. They did top a, I believe it was the UK Nationals. I'm not sure what Nationals it was. They got top 64. I just thought it was really cool to finally see Satellarknights back on the radar, so that's why I mentioned them. They are a really cool deck to play with Card of Demise. People say it's not good with Card of Demise. It just depends on what you're setting up, because usually you can send Deneb to the graveyard with Unicalhai, and then for your next turn or whatever, you can just, accelerate with Altair. Plus, you have like 5 or 6 Call of the Haunted if you're playing like 2 or 3 Oasis with the calls. So you do have plays that you can set up. Plus, I think this card alone is like the reason to at least try the deck. I mean, it's basically a Solemn Judgment. It's pretty nuts, and you draw a card, so that's just me. And then I mentioned Counter Theory. Shout out to my boy Olympio. He got top 64 playing Card of Demise with counter fairies, and I think the deck is amazing. The deck is so much fun to play. I tested it after I saw his list, and just the fact that Bountiful Artemis, can net you so many cards, the fact that Card of Demise accelerates you into your counter traps, and the fact that this card even exists. Ultimate Providence is insane because you play it with Ariande, it's free. Like, that's just nuts. It's free negation, solemn judgment, and you draw a card with Bountiful. I mean, come on, it doesn't get better than that. And another deck that I've seen some people messing around with Card of Demise is actually Heroes, aka Darklaw.deck, because the monster count is so low. A lot of people would argue, well, don't you always want a special summon? Not really. I've watched a lot of hero players, and what they'll do is they'll set up their plays, have a Shadow Mist on field, and then during your turn, they'll flip Mass Change second, or not Mass Change, but regular Mass Change. So, they can do all their setup with Card of Demise, have their bunch of back row, and then during your turn, spring it on you, and then Darklaw, does what Darklaw does. So, pretty interesting. Now, what would be the reason not to play these decks? Royal Decree is a card, Full House is a card, but you side to counteract these cards. Decks are using cards like Dark Bribe, they're using Huge Revolution is over, Starlight Road, you name it, Magic Deflector, everything to stop Twin Twister. Yeah, Twin Twister and Decree. You do either main deck or side deck Mystical Space Typhoon. You have your outs. One cool thing about Cleaforts is that Helix is a walking MST, so being able to tribute it off the field with either Soul Transition or just for a hard tribute is very, very important because it clears Decree off the board. I did that when I was playing the deck at one of the regionals. Being able to clear a Decree with Helix is just a really added bonus that only the Cleafort Demise deck has. So yeah, so those are all my reasons. I think a Demise deck is a great call, mostly if you're an anti-meta player and you don't feel like playing a lot of mirror matches. And by that I mean you don't want to go in there and play a bunch of Monarch Mirror, a bunch of Burning Abyss Mirror, a bunch of Cosmo Mirror, etc. Of course, Cosmo is a crazy Demise deck. I already mentioned that in the Cosmo video. I wasn't going to list it here because it's kind of in its class of its own. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me some feedback. Would you play a Demise deck? If so, why? Who wouldn't? What are the reasons? I totally understand cards like Royal Decree, Full House, and Twin Twister exist, but you also have cards that can counteract them. It's just how Yu-Gi-Oh is played. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and I will see if there are any other decks. If I missed any, I believe I still need to do Mermails. Mermails is definitely a deck that people are forgetting about, and I think that's definitely not wise because that deck can really fuck you up. Take it from me personally, because I've lost to the deck before. It is just not fun. That deck can OTK you out anywhere. But anyways, if I forgot any decks, you guys, please let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.